Well, I think that's been the longest gap we've had between videos in this series so far. Hopefully, in this series, at any point, hopefully we are all fully recovered from not just my poorliness, but also from the disappointment of missing out in the playoffs in the style that we did in the last episode. But just to start building the excitement up again, have I got something awesome to show you? 1 second. It's behind the green screen. You'll already have seen these. If you follow me on Instagram or if you follow my vlog, you'll have already seen these, but I need to show them on this channel as well. These were sent to me. There we have a little Sir Mick Powell figure. How cool is that? I hope the green screen isn't making his shirt invisible. It's got his number on the back as well. And also a little Kev as well, with LOLLUJO on the bit at the bottom, which is just awesome. These were made by a guy called Mark. He has a Facebook page and Instagram page, Mark's Corinthians and More. He can't mass produce these, but if you want to have figure conversions done for yourself, get in touch with Mark and he'll quote you for getting your own awesome little figures. If anyone knows where we can get stuff like this mass produced, hit me up down in the comments. This might be the new shirt. It's just so cool. Thank you, Mark. These are brilliant. Hello and welcome to part 99 of It's Coming Home. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we are doing our season review and summer transfers. We're not going to look at the league table. We're not going to look at the playoffs. We're pretending none of that exists. I'm still very upset about all of it. As you can hear as well, I do still have a bit of a cough that I'm going to try and fight back throughout the video. It might be a slightly different style of transfer video to the normal ones we do. If I start having hacking coughing fits, I'll just get the transfers done and then show you them at the end. If I manage to get through the video as normal, I'll get through the video as normal, but we'll sort of play it by ear as we go. If you're looking at this thinking, this is only a 22-minute video, I thought this was a transfer special, that's why I had to change plan partway through. But we'll kick things off with the normal season review, and in the normal way by having a look at players inducted into the overall best 11 here at home. In this season, we have 5 players that have been good enough to be added to the all-time best 11. So Gregson is one of the new boys, but Wearmouth, Rogers, Moss and Harrison have now all made their way into the home all-time best 11. This is starting to look like such a weird team. So our all-time best 11 apparently, first of all, playing the 4-3-3 rather than the diamond. I don't know. I think we've probably played just as much time with both systems now, and I think we've probably enjoyed more success with the diamond, maybe. But this is the system. Humphreys in goal, a back four of Webber instead of Wearmouth. Really? Rogers and Wright at centre-back, I can't argue with. Gregson at right-back, can't argue with. Harrison as our defensive midfielder. I guess he's been better for us than Dean Morris was, or Shane Phillips has been, but it is still sad not to see either Shane Phillips or Dean Morris even in the squad now for the all-time best team. Sawinski and Fernandez in midfield. They might not be able to play together in real life, but we've been doing it for 5 years anyway, and they play together in this team. And then the front three, where the most controversy is, Matondo, best striker, ahead of Harris, ahead of Sir Mick Powell. Prince Chiddy in the actual starting 11 of the all-time best 11. He had one season for us as a striker that wasn't very good, and that apparently makes him the best left winger we've ever had. He's now on loan in Nigeria. I would argue Prince Chiddy probably doesn't warrant that spot in the squad. Stanley on the right-hand side, and then a bench of Mayle, Colley, Wearmouth, Wolf, O'Brien, Moss and Anthony Harris. No space in the all-time best 11 for Shane Phillips or Sir Mick Powell. And that troubles me a little bit. So where are they now on the best 11? 6 now retired. Humphreys, Wright, Fernandez, Sawinski, Harris and Matondo are all still here. Although obviously Matondo and Sawinski only here on loan. So we're going to have to do what we can do to try and keep them here this summer. Ricardo Santos wasn't in the best 11. I don't know why we're being told. Several of these players aren't in the best 11 anymore. The best 11 thing is just broken. We might need to stop focusing on it. Player of the season then, Chadani Matondo, obviously, 45% of the vote. Gregson second, and then Harris is third. Lerick Fernandez has won goal of the season. Again, I feel like Lerick Fernandez wins goal of the season quite regularly. Let's have a look at this season's entry into the Lerick Fernandez wonder goal playbook. It was a Harris corner, which is headed clear all the way out to Loic Fernandez, who takes one touch and then scores a screamer. I'll let him have that as goal of the season. That was a good goal. Lee Bradley, signing of the season. I mean, we saw what he can do goal-wise in the playoffs. We also saw that he can't defend, so I think his future might be up here somewhere rather than back there. I'm a little bit worried. Signing of the season, though, and Matondo gets Young Player of the Year. Still only aged 21. Matondo has been with us for 3 years now. 74 goals in 125 appearances over 3 years in 2 divisions. Still only 21. I just don't see there's any way we get him back again this summer. He's still under contract with Stoke for another year. We'll try and extend the loan. We certainly can't afford to sign him permanently. This summer might be one of rebuilding rather than just bringing back the same old loanees. Because looking at this team of the season, Harrison is here on loan, Sawinski's on loan, Moss is on loan, and Matondo is on loan. So it's kind of the spine of the team are loan players that there's no guarantees we're going to be able to get back or sign permanently. But the team of the year is Watson in goal, a back four of Wearmouth, Wright, Rogers and Gregson, Harrison at the base of the midfield, Sawinski and Fernandez in the middle of midfield, and then Moss in between Harris and Matondo. Matondo got top scorer of 32 goals. Wearmouth 7.36 average rating. I think it's the second season in a row Wearmouth has had the highest average rating, although interestingly doesn't even get him in the top 3 for player of the year, probably because he started to lose his place towards the end of the season as Bradley emerged. We all know how that turned out. Gregson, most assists with 14 from right back. Phillips, best pass completion, but no longer in the all-time best 11 team. 27 years old now, Shane Phillips. Has played 330 games for us, but he is slowly drifting out of the squad, as you can see, as he gets older. And I wonder if both with him and Semic Powell, if this playoff disappointment this season might just mean they never quite make that Premier League appearance. We will see how things turn out for the two of them, but I'm a little bit... I don't think they'll both get there. We might actually get to the point where only one player plays for us in all divisions. Although, did Harris never played for us in League 2, did he? But did he? I think he came back in League 1, so he doesn't count. And of course, he never played for us in the conference or anywhere like that either. Right, season review. We overperformed, as we did last season, but did fall at the final hurdle, which was very disappointing. The side of 2022, where are they now? 6 are retired. Civita, Phillips, Fernandez, Powell and Humphreys are all still here. So that's a team from 7 years ago. And we still have a bunch of those players. I mean, one of them is still starting regularly. 2 of them still knocking around the squad. And then Civita and Humphreys as backup keepers for us. That's where the rest of them have turned up. Those lot all retired now by the looks of it. Tanner, Colley, O'Brien, Carter, Wolf and Smith all retired. Squad dynamics, our team leaders, Sir Mick Powell, Anthony Harris and Loic Fernandez, all homegrown. And also more homegrown players and the highly influential as well. Shane Phillips, David Sawinski are the other 2. So, I mean, that's still pretty impressive for a team that's gone up as many leagues as we have. To have our actual homegrown players still as our superstars is good stuff. Right, what we're going to achieve next season. We've got to push for the playoffs again. We've done it the last 2 years. The only problem is we've also been predicted to finish bottom the last 2 years as well. I think we probably have to... we have to say we want to aim for the playoffs. They're happy about that. That's good. So we aim for the playoffs again next year. Toby Humphreys, not happy about it at all, and I don't know why. End of season confidence review. I'm doing an unbelievable job, apparently. Lovely stuff. Pre-season start date. That's all good stuff. Oh, we don't want to look at that. Right, the other thing we do want to look at is our Patreon youngsters. In fact, before that, let's just see what's going on in the world of Dean Morris. We have to do the Dean Morris check every summer. He's now 26. 33 caps for England. He's currently described as an elite midfielder. He's pretty good, isn't he? I'm worried that we might not ever get him back. He might just retire at the absolute top of his game. But Dean Morris still playing for Spurs, although he is now wanted by Liverpool, so he might be on the move again. I daren't think how much he'd go for this time around. Weirdly, only started 10 games for Spurs last season. In fact, in 2 years at Spurs, he's only started 24 games. So a little bit of a fringe player at Spurs for someone they brought in for £52 million, who is an England regular, at 12 games for England, although, again, only 2 of them as starts. So hopefully he can go to a club that are actually going to use a proper defensive midfielder, because presumably Tottenham don't, or else they'd be starting him regularly. So Tottenham trying to shoehorn him into this system. What system do Liverpool use? If Liverpool are using something that's got a holding midfielder, then that would end up being a good move for him, because he's got to be... He's an elite midfielder. yes, he needs to be playing there. That's your Dean Morris position. So hopefully he does go to Liverpool this summer and use that as a way to catapult himself into being a regular starter for England, which is what we all want from him. And then he can have like 3-4 years at Liverpool, by which point we'll be in the Premier League. He'll be 31 and ready to come and play the last 2 or 3 years of his career back where it all began. That's the fairy tale for Dean Morris. Let's see if it works out like that. But let's have a look at our other Patreon youngsters. So if we have a look at the senior squad, I think we know where everybody is in the senior squad, Patreon wise. Obviously Alex Carmichael still knocking about the place. Other than that, I don't think there's any other Patreon players other than the obvious Fernandez, Sawinski, those ones. So if we drop down to the under 23s and under 18s, sort them according to potential and pick out some of the better ones. So Andrew Barter, he's definitely a Patreon person. Josh Mann, who finally completes his move to Celtic this summer. It was arranged last summer. It's a big fee as well, which I guess we spent last summer, unless we're getting our 600 grand now. But Josh Mann will be going to Celtic finally. There's a couple of other of the Patreon lot knocking around as well. As ever, I'll scroll through. If you can see yourself, you'll get an idea of where your current ability is, where your potential ability is, how close you are to making it into the squad. We'll sort this by current ability in a second as well, just so we can see if there are any on the verge of doing a Mick Powell. So by current ability, who have we got who's close? This is all current first team players. Drew Whalen is one who's been on the verge for a little while. Currently the 7th best striker in the squad, but that puts him level with Sir Mick Powell. I guess the signing of Ollie Steer is going to be a bit of a problem for Drew Whalen's development, but 1 goal from 1 start this season for us in the Championship, so he's going to be in and around the first team squad again, or realistically might be sold to someone down in League 1, League 2, where he can get the game time he deserves. But other than that, Andrew Barter's the next one who looks like he might be ready to make the step up. Stephen Penny, are you a Patreon person? You are. So Stephen Penny isn't a million miles away as another one off the central midfielder conveyor belt. And he's got some options to play in some other positions as well. So there's a few of you who are getting close. As ever, if you want to get your own Patreon player, you can do that at patreon.com/LOLLUJO. And then every year when we get the youth intake in, I post it up on Patreon. First come, first serve. If you don't have a player or your player is retired, you then get to pick which one you want. And they become in the game, and you might be the new Lerick Fernandez or David Sawinski, or... I mean, they're the 2 big stars out of Patreon so far, I think. So that's the season review done. Plan for the summer. I mean, it really does depend on, are these new budgets, or I think these are last season's budgets. It'll be interesting to see what happens with budgets and whether we start getting the kind of budget that a team pushing for promotion from the Championship might get, because that will be interesting if we do. But the budget, the plan is really going to depend on whether or not we can get these loanees back, and we're not going to know that yet, because I don't think we can apply to extend them yet. So if we start with Matondo, I think we have to wait for the window. Oh no, we can. Oh, can we get him on loan for another year? I don't understand what Stoke are doing, but of course, if you'll come back, Chardonnay, we'll take you for another year. Let's try with all of them. Moss, you've got time left on your contract as well. Do you want to come back? You maybe do. Stoke don't want you. That's unacceptable. Why is that unacceptable? Stoke would require a playing contribution of to go on loan. Well, that's exactly what we're offering. How is it unacceptable? We'll give him all of his wages. We'll do that and hope, maybe. I don't know if we need to bring Wharton back. I don't know. I guess he's been good. Especially if we're not going to get Moss. Especially for that price. It's ridiculously cheap. So let's try with him again. David Sawinski, your contract with Leeds must be up. No, you've got another extension as well, so let's try and get you again. I don't understand why we're able to do this every summer, but I am not going to argue about it at all. And then last one, Philip Harrison. He's actually out of contract with Man City, so he's one that we're going to have to try and sign permanently, or wait and see if City give him a contract extension. We can't sign him permanently yet because the transfer window's not open. So we will absolutely be looking to make him a permanent transfer offer as and when he becomes a freebie. I just don't know if we're going to be able to compete financially for him. Let's try with Rodgers as well. We've got a lot of loanees here, haven't we? Ridiculous. But it looks like he could potentially come back too. If we get all of the loanees back, then there's really not a lot of business we need to do unless we've got a lot of money thrown at us. Maybe another midfielder, maybe some competition to Harrison, maybe another centre-back just to, again, add some competition in there. But there's not a huge amount of work needs doing to this squad. We have the basis of a very good squad, a very good team, as we've shown this season. The fear was the loanees. If we get to keep them, it might be quite a quiet summer. Right, we have budgets, and they're interesting. The wage budget's gone up a little bit, and we've been given quite a juicy transfer budget. So we've got a spare £10,000 a week of wage budget, plus nearly £750,000 worth of transfer budget to play with. So, again, we're going to see if we get these loanees back. Can we increase the youth thing? Probably don't have the money for it. No. I mean, I can't really argue either. We're consistently producing good players. But let's wait. These offers have all been accepted. We haven't had the Moss offer accepted yet. So we might be missing out on Moss and Harrison, potentially. In which case, it's good to have some money to spend. But we can't do anything. We can't make any decisions until we know what's happening with the 6 loanees that we've got at the moment. So we wait. Well, here's some interesting news. We've got the National League North's top goal scorer again. It's been a while. Joe Roberts, though. This is the 22-year-old striker who you all laughed at me for signing because he only had 4 finishing. Well, there you go. He's just got 20 goals in the National League North. He's never going to be good enough to play for us, but clearly finishing isn't the be-all and end-all when it comes to being top goal scorer in the division, because he's just scored an absolute ton of goals for Boston. So congratulations to Joe Roberts, and our first loan extension has been confirmed. Alan Rodgers is going to be back. Is this the 3rd season in a row for Rodgers, or was he only new last year? No, 3rd season in a row for Rodgers, on loan from Burnley. He's been out on loan from Burnley for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This will be his 7th year in a row of being out on loan. He turns 23 in February. Just let him go, Burnley. He's obviously never going to play for you, is he? Let him sign for us permanently next summer when his contract's up. But that's one done, which is massively important. And what's all this? Joe Roberts has caught the eye whilst on loan at Boston. He's on the right track. He's never going to be good enough. He's 22 years old and only has 4 finishing. Do the media not read the comments? Wharton's in as well. Excellent stuff. It's all good. It's a bunch of good news stories. Let's just keep hitting spacebar and hope they all sign. I mean, it's Harrison who's going to be a difficult one to replace. We saw in the Huddersfield game in the second leg, losing him, we don't really have another option other than Shane Phillips as a defensive midfielder. So if we do lose out on Harrison this summer, we might have to have a tactical rethink if we can't find a real top quality defensive midfield replacement for Harrison. But there's Wharton back in as well. The biggest signing of the summer, Matondo's back for another year. David Sawinski is back for another year. I think it's just Moss we're waiting on now. And then it's a case of waiting for... there you go, there's Moss. 5 of the 6 are already in. That's the majority of my summer business done right there. And now we just need to wait and see for the situation around offering a contract to Harrison at Man City if he doesn't sign an extension there. I don't understand why Stoke are letting us do this. They're 10th in the Championship. We've got 2 of the best players in the Championship who have just joined us on loan again. The game's a bit broken, but we're not going to argue. We can all feel a little bit better that Huddersfield are the team that ultimately went on and did get promoted back up to the Premier League. The first time of asking, with their ridiculously overpowered team for this division. At least we don't have to put up with them next year. Who have we got coming down from the Premier League? How dirty is this division going to be next season? Let's have a little look. How do we do this? Go up to Premier League. There we go. So Millwall, Brentford, Villa. I don't know. I feel like they're teams that we've got less to be afraid of. Millwall, how long have they been in the Premier League for? Not long. So they're a team that went up, just survived, then coming back down. So they're not going to have a huge Premier League quality squad. Brentford always seem to be in the Premier League in Football Manager. I don't understand it. They're just up and down every year. So they're hopefully not going to have a hugely well-established squad. Villa have been... They went up last year, came straight back down. So again, a championship... This feels like next year could be our year, boys and girls. Let's get excited. The records just keep on flowing as well. So our 3rd place was our new record high position, beating our previous 7th place. Matondo got 2nd top scorer in the division. Harris, 3rd top scorer in the division. Did Middlesbrough get promoted? No. So Jack Clark's still going to be around next year as well. Still only 28 too. We need him to make a move to the Premier League. And it looks like there are clubs after him. But he's a decent Championship striker if we ever find we need one. But we've got 2 who are better, I think. And the fact that they're as a partnership, they've got that many goals. Plus we've got Ollie Steer. Plus we've got Sir Mick Powell still knocking around the place as well. Good work, gentlemen. Matondo gets Championship Young Player of the Year, age 21. I mean, it's his third. It said Rookie of the Year. It's his 3rd year with us. I still don't understand Stoke. Manager of the Year goes to this man. Good work, Kev. Well played, sir. We've got players in the Team of the Year as well. So Wright, Wearmouth and Matondo all making it into the Championship Team of the Year. I don't know why that came up on there. And Wearmouth gets himself a little bonus. We continue to wait for the Harrison situation to resolve itself. Here's some exciting news. Gary Watson has been called up for the Northern Ireland full squad for the first time for the summer friendlies. Not yet made his Northern Ireland debut. Lots of under-21 caps. Still only 24 though. Still with potential to get better. And according to this, will end up being a Premier League quality goalkeeper. So that is the goalkeeper position sorted. Again, another one that we've done Stoke over with. I don't understand. Stoke's manager is just a buffoon and he's letting us take all of his best players. Baffling. But I will keep abusing Stoke's good nature. Why didn't I ever get offered jobs like this in non-league to legend? Ridiculous. Well, there's confirmation that the Josh Mann deal has gone through. He is now a Celtic player, a highly regarded one as well. With that money and our prize money come through, we've actually got nearly £6 million in the bank, which is ridiculous. For the first time ever, possibly, in this save, our projection shows us still being in the black 3 years in the future. We're financially secure, everybody. In other news, Harrison has signed a new contract with Manchester City, a 3-year contract extension. Any hopes of us ever getting him permanently are gone. But we have immediately submitted a new offer to bring him back on loan. Fingers crossed that will be tied up in the next day or two. And then we know that we at least have the squad that we had already to build on for the summer. And we can plan how we can improve said squad that we've already tried to do this game. Come on now. Philip Harrison loan confirmation accepted. He's back for next season. Also, talking of Patreon players from before, Nathan Curry does still exist. He left us nearly 10 years ago and having never played a game, but is continuing to carve out a non-league career and is now going to be signing for Dorking Wanderers, who are in the Evo Stick Southern Premier League South. Nathan Curry will forever be... he's managed to do a career as a professional footballer. I imagine real life Nathan Curry is probably ready for this Nathan Curry to retire so we can have a re-roll. Thus is the luck of the draw in the Patreon players situation. I'm very sorry, Nathan. At this stage of his career in non-league to legend, Ross McCrory was Sevilla captain, having previously played for Juventus on his way to Sevilla, and was less than a year away from being a World Cup winning captain for Scotland. In this universe, Ross McCrory has just signed for Holme for £275,000. There's potential future fees on there. He is 31 years old now, but... he's Ross McCrory. He's never played for Scotland in this universe at all, so the chances of him being a World Cup winning captain are slim. But the signing of him does mean we now have 4 very good centre-backs, which is one of the goals we had for this summer, but it also meets one of the other goals and gives us some proper competition for Philip Harrison as well, to allow us to play him as a defensive midfielder too. So we know from the other universe that McCrory's going to... or he was a top player until he was like 35, 36. I think he went to Lazio after he was done with us at Sevilla. I think he might even still be playing in that save. So I think he's a good signing. A little bit of experience at the back and a little bit of experience in midfield as well if he plays further forward. And hopefully a sign of growth of the football club. Ross McCrory, I think, is a cracking signing. his last transfer 2 years ago, £1.7 million to Aberdeen, having been released by Rangers. But he's played over 200 games in the top division up in Scotland. Ross McCrory, everybody. Might even make him captain, just to make it even more like Sevilla. Some rivalries never die. This is obviously going to be in an episode. I don't know how we fit it in. Maybe it'll be maybe we'll do a bonus episode tomorrow for those of you who really want to see us renew rivalries with Chester. But this is our season expectations. The board even now looking for mid-table finishes. We actually have we need to push on and do quite well this year, don't we? I've pretty much got no money left either. Having signed Ross McCrory in possibly it'll either go down as the best signing or the stupidest signing in the history of this series, spending all that money on a 31-year-old. But we've pretty much maxed out our wage budget. We don't have much in the way of transfer budget left. We have got a few players leaving on the 1st of July as contracts are up. The only notable one really is Proctor, who's been with us for a long, long time, but has also been out on loan and nowhere near the team for a little while too. So what's the easiest way to find him? He was out on loan last year, I'm sure he was. Archie Proctor, there he is. So 27 years old now, and with the signing of McCrory even further down the pecking order, spent the last 2 years out on loan. He's going to be leaving, so that frees up a little bit of wage budget, but not a huge amount. He's probably the only notable former regular who's going to be departing. There's no point trying to bring him back because his scout report says he's not any good, so we'll forget he exists forevermore. Until inevitably they all come home. We'll bring him back eventually. This is someone that my director of football is trying to bring in at the end of his contract. I'm waiting for a scout report on him before I give it the seal of approval. We don't really need another centre-back. We have been turning down offers for Ross Wright. We just turned down a £1.4 million offer for him. So I guess if Alistair Middleton does turn out to be good, and we end up with 5, in fact, 1.2 million, not 1.5. I thought it was bigger than that. Hang on. I'm sure we've had bigger offers than that for him, but potentially if he's as good as the other 4 that we've got, then I guess we do let Wright go if Sheffield Wednesday or someone else come in for him again. But other than that, I don't think we need to do a huge amount of business. Looking at the squad depth, it would be nice to bring in another central midfield player, but I don't know if money's going to allow it. Strikers were sorted, attacking midfielders were sorted, although they're both on loan, so it'd be nice to have a permanent one. The idea would be someone who's like a 4-star player who can play in central midfield and attacking midfield and comes in permanently. Defensive midfield we're now sorted with Harrison, McCrory and Phillips. Left back, we're fine. Right back, we're fine. Centre back is our strongest position, really. That and up front. And in goal, we're all good. So I don't need to do much. There might be one more player come in. This is going to be the most uneventful transfer window in the history of me on YouTube. The only thing that's going to spice this up from here, if there's another 30 minutes left on this video when you're watching and you're thinking, well, something must be about to happen. There's 2 things that could happen. A tycoon takeover, which is very unlikely, or Anthony Harris leaves for like £5 million and we have to replace him plus have a load of money to spend. But I don't see either of those things happening, really. But, oh good, wage rises, that's what we needed. Yikes. Let's come back to this after players have left, and you never know, we might be able to bring a Premier League old man in central midfield on a free transfer to finish the squad off, and that would be lovely. So these are the players leaving the club this summer. If you're one of the Patreon people, keep an eye out to see if any of those are one of yours, because we will need to keep track of them. I think these 2 definitely are, so we'll need to keep an eye on these to see if they end up anywhere else or if they end up retiring off the back of this. That's the lad who scored all those goals for Boston. Well, I hope he goes there permanently and scores lots of goals again. And these are the contracts that we've got up next summer. That is a lot of big names that are going to need new contracts, and we can't really afford to pay them out at the moment, which is a bit of a problem. We're just gonna leave. We're gonna pretend that situation isn't happening at the moment while we deal with this situation of. It would be nice to bring in another midfield player. We've sold Alex Carmichael again, boys and girls. Not quite as spectacular as it was the last time we did it. Just £22,500 this time goes to Hull. Once again, he's so tempting to bring back because he's got such high potential, but he's 23 years old now. I don't think this lad is ever fulfilling his potential. It's a real shame. Only 10 games in his career. You could argue that it's kind of my fault he's not going to hit his potential because I never gave him any game time. But we even had him on loan for 2 years and only played him 6 times. He played 10 games for us in nearly 10 years. And now he goes to rebuild his career at Hull, presumably never wanting to come near the Fens again. The only other transfer news we've got is we've brought in a couple of youngsters from Arsenal. Brian Gordon's a right back and Lewis Spencer is a goalkeeper. But there's nothing else for us. We've got no money. We've got a little bit of money now. We've sold Carmichael. We could maybe bring in one player if the right player emerged. The right player just hasn't emerged yet, so I'm not in any desperate panic to sign somebody. If we end up going into the new season like this, we've slightly improved last season's squad by bringing in Ross McCrory. That'll do. It has to be the right player who shows up now, ideally as a central midfield player. But he has to be relatively cheap with loads of potential, and I think that's fairly unlikely. But you never know. Time for the usual shenanigans again. So transfer budget currently stands at almost nothing, but we can whack those down, and all of a sudden we have pennies to play with again. £800,000 of transfer budget. It hasn't increased the wage budget at all, but we can rebalance that slightly. Let's put that out to say there. And all of a sudden we've got £400,000 to go and sign a central midfielder on £8,000 a week. That feels doable. We have another centre back, and now I kind of want to sell Ross Wright now if the offer is still there. This is a kid who was wanted by AC Milan amongst other teams. We've swiped him out from, who was he playing for? Saint Etienne reserves. He's 18, 3-star current ability, 4.5-star potential ability, French under-19 international, could be an absolute superstar, already good enough for the Championship, will end up good enough for the Premier League. He's a player who's going to be around for a little while. He's only our 5th choice centre-back at the moment though, so if we can get another £1.5 million offer for Ross Wright as an example, that then gives us more money to play with, so I'm almost tempted to offer him out. This feels wrong because I don't really want him to leave. We'll offer him out with no transfer listing and no price and just see what kind of offers come in. But really, anything over £1 million, I think Ross Wright is going to go. Couturier will then be our 4th choice centre back, and McCrory can then battle with the other 2, and all will be good. And apparently I've tried to take an AC Milan defender on trial. I don't remember doing that. I must have done a misclick. Splendid. Well, that's brought us through to the first day of the new season. There is potential, but there will be more transfer shenanigans in the next episode. I'm sure we still don't have our central midfielder. We do have lots of wage budget and transfer budget to play with. Plus, as I'm sure the eagle-eyed amongst you just saw, we always have a £1.6 million offer for Ross Wright from Reading. So he's probably going to be moving on to Reading after 4 seasons. Excellent servant for the club. 164 games for us over 4 years, which doesn't seem to add up, but I guess it must. Of course, his last day of the season free kicks are legendary, but he's not going to be a regular starter this year. There's a hot young player coming up behind him, and £1.6 million will be very handy because we'll get 60% of that straight into our transfer budget, meaning we'll have nearly £1 million to spend, and then we can get a really fancy midfielder. Because it's still pretty much all we need. We'll bring in $1 million, go and spend £1 million on a midfielder. Oh, it'd be lovely. So this is the team as it looks at the moment for the first game of the new season, which we'll see in tomorrow's video. They're all players who were here last year. McCrory does make it onto the bench. T'other new centre-back doesn't just yet, but I'm sure his time will come. So that'll be the team that starts the season. We'll do that in tomorrow's video and hopefully go and spend £1 million as well. I'm very excited. If you've enjoyed more of a low-key transfer window, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos, and thank you very much for watching.